Hey, I'm Kristin, and this is Locked in a Closet, a podcast where I have my friends and family share their favorite stories of true crime, ghosts, urban legends, and all things spooky. Welcome to the very first episode. Today I have a very special guest, Kathy. Kathy is my best friend's mom. I've known her for about 22 years, and she's actually the reason why I am so into paranormal stuff. One of the stories that she's going to be telling today was the very first ghost story that I ever heard when I was a kid. And ever since I heard it, I haven't been able to get away from them, really. She's also going to be telling a couple stories of her personal experiences with the spirits and a couple more that she's heard along the way. So get ready to listen, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today. Can we start out with the story of the first time you ever saw a ghost?
I think I was probably in about high school, probably maybe grade 10 kind of something. And I honestly did not know what was going on. I felt more than I saw, but I did see like a white diaphanous kind of swirl, and I couldn't even tell you who or what it represented. I just knew that there was something in the room. And it was almost as quickly as I recognized there was something in the room with me, and it was gone. But I've always felt like I used to be able to guess what was in presents before I opened them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then one time I guessed a present, and I told the person, what it was, where they purchased it, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it was exactly that. The look on their face, they were so disappointed that I had guessed it all. And I think it's one of those things that if you have some sort of innate ability or weird thing that happens, that if you don't use it, you lose it. So I can't do it anymore now. But yeah, it was kind of fun. So I've always kind of been in touch with that. Well, you know me, I'm very, open and touchy-feely and in a good way.
For sure. That's crazy. I've never known, like, you've never told me that one before. That's super cool.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a scarf that my daughter's uncle had given me, and I said, "Yeah, it's a scarf, and you bought it at such and such a kiosk at the Bayshore Mall." And he just looked at me like I had just, crushed his favorite toy.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah, I'm not doing this again.
Did you like see it before, like in your head,
I just
obviously?
No, I
Just the
just
feeling?
knew for whatever reason. And I mean, lots of people could say, "Oh, well, it was the packaging," or it was, but this was not the type of gift that he would normally have given me. It's not something that he would normally have picked out for me. So it was totally, I mean, I've been able to look at something and go, "Oh yeah, it's an album. Okay, fine."
Mhm.
Tell them specifically what album it was.
Yeah, that's so
So
cool.
yeah, it was until you see the crushed look on
Yeah,
some.
until you broke his heart.
Yeah, exactly. When it stops being a party trick, and yeah, then you just like, okay, crushing this down.
All right, next time I won't tell you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just keep it to myself. But it is one of those things, I think, that a lot of us have a lot of um, innate feelings that, I mean, children are so open to it.
Mhm.
They're just so innocent and so open, and I think they see a lot of things. Well, I see it in my pet. Like my
Yeah,
dog sit there and stare at something.
it
It's
freaks you out, eh?
it does. It's a little weird, yeah. Especially when you're sitting there and your cat is looking over your shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, that's
Or if
just
you're holding a baby and they're looking like through you, kind of, and like
yeah,
laughing.
yeah. So I think it's something that we all intrinsically have, but as we get older, it's not explainable.
Hmm.
So a lot of people just kind of, lose it, which is
Yeah,
pretty sad, actually.
it is sad. It'd be so
Yeah.
cool. Just like pull it out at parties, like, oh yeah. White elephant would be so good every time.
Oh, I know.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty. The next story is the first ghost story that I ever heard. And I blame you for my obsession with like the paranormal and everything. I
Oh,
don't
you're
even know
welcome.
how old I was when you told us this story.
You
May-
know what? You guys were pretty young.
yeah, like
I want to
maybe
say,
10. I would think it was less than that for sure, though.
I was thinking like 8 or 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Banff Ghost Bride, take it away.
I was very lucky to go out to Banff, Alberta to do some training. We were exceptionally lucky to be able to stay at the Banff Springs Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel in itself, but it has a lot of history. And I was fascinated in that kind of thing. And one of the things that they did offer was like a ghost tour, and they would tell you all the ghostly stories that happened over, decades and decades of people visiting there. So one of them that came across, and this is the one that you love,
Mhm.
there's a ghost bride that apparently haunts the area. And I don't know what decade it was, but this lovely young bride was having this beautiful wedding, and they have an exquisite ballroom and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so they have the staircase that comes down from the ballroom down to the main level. And apparently she tripped on her train and she fell down this, I think it's a marble staircase, and she died at the bottom of the staircase. Now that's terrible. But over the years, ever since then, people who have gone into the ballroom will hear dancing, and like at the ball for her wedding, or they will see illusions of her walking around and that kind of stuff. So it was funny because we were in the ballroom and they were telling us this, and it's like you could feel it. Now, is that the power of the storyteller?
Right.
Partially. Is it the power of the person being told the story that they can visualize it and feel it? I don't know, but you know what? I swear she's still there. Why wouldn't she be? It's the Banff Springs Hotel. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Why would you want to leave?
Yeah. So another really interesting story that came out of that was the story about a bellboy who had worked for the hotel for a number of years, and he passed away. But periodically, people would hear a knock at the door, and they would open the door, and there was no one there. Or they would hear a knock at the door, and there would be a bottle of wine, or there would be something left at the door.
Oh, cool.
All kind of propagated the theory that the bellboy had passed away and that he was now haunting.
Wouldn't it suck to die and then be stuck at your job?
I feel like it. I know.
Can't get away.
So it's not he's haunting, he's trapped.
Yeah, really. Oh,
he's not getting out of there.
Poor guy.
I'm not sure who I feel sorry for, the bride or the bellboy.
I know. At least the bride, it's like the happiest day of your life. The bellboy, it's like, oh, another Monday.
Here we go. Exactly. I'm not getting overtime, am I?
Yeah, really. Not even getting paid.
Yeah, so I think that was I enjoy doing that kind of stuff too, like going on the tours and hearing the stories. And I mean, if you talk to anybody who's in the valley, they always have old stories and haunting stories. And I mean, really, what makes a bonfire better than a good ghost story?
Exactly. That's why I started this podcast. I was like, I just like hearing people's stories.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And Ottawa itself is rife with all kinds of really interesting stuff as well. When my daughter was a Girl Guide on Halloween, they did one of the haunted walks in downtown Ottawa. And we went from place to place. And some of the stories were, and in the evening you can see the light. And it's like, okay, whatever. But then one of the places that we did go to was the old Ottawa jail. It's now a youth hostel downtown. Right. So one of the places that they do take you is the area that the inmates were hung. And it's quite eerie because you walk up all the stairs, and they do open the trap door, and it is really spooky. Like, I don't care how cheap you are as a student, I am not staying there.
I know, that's so scary, eh? Even just
Yeah, it
knowing that
was.
people were killed there, like I don't think I could sleep.
No, and why would you want to,
Yeah.
right? So although I do want to do the tour of the Kingston Pen.
Oh my God, me too. I was born in
Yeah,
Kingston and I've
I
never done
know.
it.
Well, at the time you were there, they
Well,
were
I mean, yeah, we moved here when I was
there.
2,
You
so
wouldn't want to do
that
it
would have been
then.
rather irresponsible of my parents.
Well,
But
well, kind of, like taking you to a wild zoo. You know,
yeah.
don't poke the animals behind between the cage. Yeah, no, just
No,
be
but
me.
I mean, I'm an adult. I can drive. I could go.
Yeah, road trip.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another one that I really want to do. That would be fun too.
Yeah.
It was got all kinds of stuff, and I know that they're still doing the walking tours, and they're doing them. The size of them is smaller, and they're doing social distancing and all that. But it's still really interesting to do.
Oh, I
Really.
bet. I
So
think Susan invited me to the when she was with Girl Guides. I think she invited me to that, but I was such a chicken when I was a kid. I was like, "Oh no,
ah,
there's ghosts. I can't go."
and now look at you. You
Now
just
look at
jump
me.
at
I'm just a little freak.
it.
Uh,
But
yeah,
yeah,
I
you
think I
guys.
remember that conversation with my mom though, and I was like, "Yeah, it'd be cool, but like that's too scary. I can't go." What a little
Should talk
chicken
to
shit.
your mom on
Anyway.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you said that there was an experience that you had at your house.
Well, let's back it up.
Okay.
So, my father passed away in 1973. And at that point, I would get feelings of smelling his cologne or just his presence or whatever, but it was just very fleeting. And at the time, it's very easy to put it down to grief, and your sense of smell and remembrance of smell is always heightened, so
Mhm.
it was easy to dismiss it. So then fast forward, and I was married, and we had our honeymoon at our cottage. Now our cottage right now is almost 100 years old, so there's a lot of history that goes on there. It was also built as a hunting fishing camp, so it was an all men. Don't even get me started on that one. So, but that was one place that my dad always went to. He went with, his father and grandfather. He loved to hunt and fish. And I went there on my honeymoon, and we got married on a Saturday. We went up on a Sunday. Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, my husband at the time said, we're packing up. We're going back to Ottawa. It's like, we've got another week here. What are you talking about? It's like, no, he said, I woke up and your father was standing in the doorway of our bedroom.
Oh my God, I just got chills.
I know. And it was like, really? He's like, no. And he's a very strong man. Like, you wouldn't think he would be easily freaked out by anything like this. But
Yeah.
we packed up and we spent the rest of our honeymoon at his parents'.
Oh.
Let me start on that one again. So, but that was when we got talking about it, we realized that if my dad was going to haunt anywhere, that would be where he would haunt. That
It
would
was
be
his favorite place, eh?
always be, yeah, that's where we feel him.
And I'm sure it wasn't anything like malicious. Like, yeah, obviously it's startling to like see a spirit of somebody, but like
Yeah.
he wouldn't come back and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna scare them." Like, no, he was
No,
probably like
no.
just there visiting.
Well, I think it was more he was, checking in on his girl kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I honestly don't think there would be anything malicious or anything like that. But it was interesting that he presented himself to my husband.
And so
And
clearly.
yeah, like, and my husband had never met my father. He only knew him through pictures and stories and that kind of stuff. So how he put it all together, it would be a little freakish.
Right.
In some ways, I guess I can understand why he'd be a little, freaked out. But you again, I think you get that feeling that there's an entity around or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's like you can tell if somebody's staring at you too. Like a
Mm-hmm.
living person, you can tell. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
the same feeling like when a
Yeah.
spirit's around, I find anyway.
Yeah, I think so, because you can be sitting there totally alone in a room. Just, you feel like somebody's watching you. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't always be paranoid.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you, but when I was up at the cottage with you guys, I think we were in like grade 10 or something. I was in the kitchen, I was doing dishes, and I swear to God, somebody walked behind me, and I just like figured it
Mhm.
was Susan, like going outside or whatever. And I looked, and there was nobody there, and I was like, okay, like are they really quick or like
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
happening? But I
yeah,
didn't know that your cottage was haunted at that time. Like Susan didn't tell
yeah.
me before I agreed to come up. So then I was telling her about it. She
Probably a
goes,
good
"Oh
thing.
yeah," and then she like told me about that, and I was like, "What?"
Now you're telling me?
Yeah, it scared the crap out of me. But I mean, I still
Probably a good
slept
thing
there.
we didn't tell you before that then.
I would have been running home.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I feel the same thing that you do periodically, just like a brush or a presence, and it's just as quick as a wink,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Sometimes it's super comforting. Like I every once in a while, if I'm having like a sad day or whatever, I can smell my nanny's perfume. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh.
Yeah. And there is that sense of comfort to it.
Yeah.
So fast forward to about, not that many years ago, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I'm sitting in my basement, and that's where our TV is. So that's where we're there a lot.
Mhm.
And the basement window was open, and I could smell cigarette smoke. And no one's ever smoked in my house. Maybe at some of the parties you and Susan had. I don't know. But anyway.
Sure wasn't me, I can tell you that.
But I could smell this smoke, and I've never smoked. So I thought, maybe one of my neighbors is outside or whatever. So I went to look just because I was curious. Nope, nobody was outside. It's like, okay, that's weird. Went downstairs, no more smell of smoke. So a little while after that, I smelled the smoke again. And I'm like, that's really weird. Like, who could it be? Just kind of brushed it off again, thinking it was a neighbor, smoke drifting in. So
Running
then,
away after they blow smoke in your window.
pretty much, yeah, which is another kind of creepy, but not the
Yeah.
good one. So I think about the third time I was starting to think, well, who have I ever known that smoked? And for some reason, my dad popped into my brain. And all of a sudden, I found myself saying out loud, "Hi, Daddy, I'm glad you're here, but please don't smoke in the house." And the smoke stopped.
Oh my God.
A little while later, I got a little bit of the smoke again. It's like, "Hi, Daddy, glad you're here, but we've talked about this. Please don't smoke in the house." Smoke disappeared.
Oh
So,
my God, I have goosebumps.
and to this day, I will be sitting down in the basement, only happens in the basement. I will get a brief whiff of cigarette smoke, ever so brief. And it's just like, "Hi, Daddy."
Aw,
Yeah.
that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not the nicest smell to smell, but
No, but it
if you
was, it
know.
was something. I mean, he also wore there was a specific kind of aftershave that he wore, but many men, including my son-in-law, wear. So that wouldn't be distinct to him, and I don't know anyone that smokes.
Mhm.
No one I know smokes. So to me, and maybe it's just you want that so much in your life. You want that connection with someone that's been gone for so long,
Mhm.
right? That you will, like the perfume, you kind of grasp at that. It's a memory for you.
Well, yeah, and like with Nanny too, like it's at the weirdest, well, not the weirdest, at like the perfect moments. Like a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago, I was like having a really rough day, and I was just like cleaning my kitchen, and then all I could smell was her perfume. But also, I don't know if I have another aunt that we never knew about that was nanny. She had her when she was like, I think 16, and ended up giving her up for adoption because she couldn't like take care of her. And
Yeah.
then 6 months after nanny passed away, my papa got a letter from Tam being like, I think, well, obviously it was to nanny, but nanny was gone. She's like, I think you might be my mom. Like, they like hired private investigators, like all of this stuff to like figure out who she was.
Oh my
It was nanny.
gosh.
So Tam came, we met her, oh my god, 7 years ago now, I think it was. And she's like
Wow.
nanny to a T. Like, it's like almost we have nanny back in a little way. Like, it's so
Oh my
nice.
glory.
But one of the first times that Tam came, she was sitting in our living room, and it was like me, my mom, my dad, Tam, I think Willow, my niece, when she was like a tiny little baby, and all I could smell was nanny. And I was like, oh my god, she knows.
Yeah,
Like, it was so
yeah,
sweet.
yeah. That's just it, you know. And I know, I mean, you do things that I don't know if there's so much you do them because you, example, when Susan was born, her dad and I took her to my father's gravesite and we introduced her.
Yeah.
And something that was super important to us. And I don't know if it was something that was specifically for us, most likely,
Yeah.
but I think it was the right thing to do.
Oh yeah.
It just seemed the right thing to do.
Yeah. No,
So
that totally makes sense.
yeah, yeah. So
That's so nice.
I think we associate calm with certain places.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for Susan and me, the cottage is a place where we need to, if we're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, that's where we visualize to calm ourselves down. And I think that is a representation of family and warmth. And those are all things that I feel in that specific spot. But I think when you feel an entity or whatever, I've never felt threatened by something or someone or anything like that. It's always been a very comforting feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never been scary. So for me, thank goodness that equation between, you know, the paranormal and the normal are symbiotic,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't feel uncomfortable with it or anything like that. So yeah, it's good.
That's so nice.
I like it.
I do too. It's great.
I may start trying to guess people's presents again. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you should bring it back. Present predicting 2020.
There you go. Oh, it's a COVID gift card.
Yeah.
Yet again.
Oh, Amazon! Yay!
So many
so
options.
Funny. Yeah, really. Oh, I love it.
How did you get into all of this, though?
I don't know. You?
other than me being a bad friend.
Yeah, I've been into like ghost stuff for as long as I can remember. And then my brothers came home one day. One of their friends, we used to have to do speeches in elementary school. One of their friends did a speech on Jack the Ripper, which is like so morbid for like a sixth grader to do.
Oh my god!
Yeah, but one of their friends had done a speech on that, and then they came home talking about it. And if they were in grade 6, I would have been in grade 3.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom being like, "Oh yeah, like one of his first victims is like our great 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 aunt." And I was like,
way.
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, Mary Nichols is her name. And it's one of my mom's distant relatives. So yeah.
It's literally in your blood.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So ever since I found that out, I was like,
but
that's really cool. And then in like grade 8, I heard about the West Memphis 3,
Mhm.
which is like, that's my all-time favorite case. Like, I love hearing about it and talking about it. I could talk about it forever. And then I don't know, ever since then I've just started watching like a whole bunch of ghost shows, got really into that in like high school and stuff, and then now I can't stop.
But you know what? I watch these ghost hunters, and I never hear what they hear.
No, it's a lot of it is a push, but some of it is like, ooh.
Yeah, sometimes I do get that, but then it's like I don't hear it. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, recently, because of COVID, I've been working from home, so I've been really into podcasts. So I've been listening to like My Favorite Murder, I listen to all the time. So that's just like
Oh, I've never
a
heard of
bunch of
that
true
one.
crime. I love that one. And then there's one
Ooh.
called And That's Why We Drink. And that is a ghost story and a true crime story. Like it's
Right.
two people and they each tell a story every week. So I've been listening to those a bunch and I'm like, you know what? I just want to do it.
Okay, and I also noticed that the link that you gave me was locked in a closet. Is that
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, that's me.
So how did you get locked in a closet?
Well, because my office that I'm in right now is a closet.
Got it. I was thinking, oh my God, did something terrible happen to you?
No, no, it's just I record in a closet, so I figured it'd be good.
You've always got a strange sense of humor, which is one of the things we love about you.
I hope so at this point. It's been 22 years. Oh. Anyway, thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Sorry, we ended a little bit abruptly there. We started talking about random crap. Anyway, Kathy, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. It was so much fun to catch up with you and just to talk some spooky stuff with you. It's been a while. So next, I think I have my sister-in-law coming up. She should be on the second episode. We're going to be discussing the West Memphis 3, which, as I said earlier in this episode, is my favorite. I love that case. It's so interesting, so frustrating. I can't wait to talk about it with her because I know that she's right into true crime, just like me. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any feedback, I would love to hear it. You can watch the video on YouTube, or you can listen on Spotify or Stitcher for now. I'm still getting very used to all of this podcast stuff, so I don't really know how all of it works, but we'll get there. Again, thanks so much, and stay spooky.